Yo guys, what is up? It's your boy TRUEDBZ back with another video, and today we're going to be continuing the week of top 5s, the celebration of the channel on the last week of the year. So just like yesterday, I'm going to be doing another top 5, but instead of the titles, I will be doing the thumbnails throughout the lots and lots of videos I've done. So there's a lot to get through today, so I'm not going to waste that much time. If you don't know the format that I'm going to be doing it, please check out the video, the previous video I did yesterday in the description or in the recommended down below. But with that being said, if you guys don't need a catch up, then we'll get started with the list with the honorable mentions. So let's get into the first honorable mention right now. Alright guys, so the very first honorable mention is going to be the thumbnail from the video B&Bs are forming. So if you guys can see it on your screen already, basically what's going on here is me and my opponent are both using Cerebella, and we both actually hit each other with our standing medium punch at the exact same time, which is why we're both staggered at the same time. I decided to use this as the thumbnail because mostly I thought it was just funny to look at, but also shows, you know, pretty unique situations in fighting games where, you know, most of the time you're hitting your opponent and, you know, your opponent can't really interact or anything. But here, when, you know, two attacks collide with each other, you get really funny and interesting situations like this. So I thought this would be a really funny and really cool visual as a thumbnail. And, you know, it didn't make to the top 5 because I just think, you know, the other thumbnails are just more entertaining to look at, but this one is definitely a contender for number 5. So with that being said, let's get into honorable mention number 2. Alright guys, we're going to be going into the honorable mention number 2. So the thumbnail for this one is coming from the video May Continues Rampage. And so the visuals of is clearly May on the top of the screen, and countless moments where May gets the hit or starts a combo basically. Now, why it's in honorable mentions is there is a ironicness to it, and the fact that it says May continues Rampage, but I'm pretty sure I lose every fight in that match, in that video, which is the ironic part. If you didn't watch the video, you wouldn't know that, but I decided to call it that just for that ironicness and the fact that, you know, with a title like this, you just expect, you know, my May to just start killing everybody, but no. I'm still learning Guilty Gear, and this video clearly shows, you know, the struggles of learning a new fighting game. So, you know, there's an ironic twist to this thumbnail, which is why it's in the honorable mentions. It doesn't make it to the top 5 in my opinion, honestly, because it's kind of cluttered at the bottom with the title and the logo. But other than that, I really like, you know, the idea and the ironic purposes of the thumbnail, which is why I made it an honorable mention. But yep, that's it for this one. I'm not gonna waste too much time. Let's go into the last honorable mention right now. Alrighty guys, so for the last honorable mention of this list, it's going to be a thumbnail from the video I Feel Nothing. So this one is particularly, how you say, very on the nose. The purposes of this thumbnail is to show that I'm not having a good time in this video. If you guys may or may not know, if you've, you know, watched the channel, I don't really like playing Dragon Ball Fighters online that often. In fact, I haven't touched the game in weeks. But for this video, I was actually trying out a new team with Bardock, Vegeta, Super Saiyan, and then Krillin. And in trying that team, I ran into some of the most toxic characters in the game. You know, with, you know, Android 21, Vegeta, you know, I ran into a lot of those. But in this video, it was just way too much. I just couldn't. So the whole purpose of the thumbnail is to show that I just wasn't having a good time. So I really think this one really shows the pain I was going through at the time. You know, with Krillin just standing there, just with his head down to the floor, and it's just, you just see his back, you don't see his face. I just think it purposely, it captures the emotion of what I'm feeling in the video, which is why I put in the honorable mention. The only reason why it's not in the top 5 is because there's not really much going on in the thumbnail. It's just, you know, just Krillin standing there. But that is the purpose of the thumbnail. So it does its job, but it's not top 5 material in terms of, like, you know, does it stand out? Does it make people want to click, you know? So I think it's still a really good thumbnail in showing the emotion behind it. But, you know, in terms of visuals, it's just Krillin standing there, which is why it's an honorable mention and not in the top 5. So with that being said, guys, we got through all the honorable mentions, so let's get into the top 5 picks. So let's go. Okay, so let's get into the top 5 with number 5. So number 5 on this list is actually one of my best viewed videos on the channel, which I think it's still number 1 to this day. So the thumbnail from the video, Season 3 patch, well, is from my Season 3.9 patch video, which basically is my thoughts on what the new patch was going to be when I believe Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta was coming out. I think it was either before or after Gogeta came out. So it was basically my wish list for what I wanted the characters to be like after the patch, and the video did really well considering, you know, my viewership and my low subscriber rate. It's right now still my best rated video like ever, and I'm really happy it did so well. So that's one of the reasons why it's up here. But on the thumbnail perspective, you know, without that clear bias, I think it makes number 5 on the list. Clearly on the fact that my logo and Arc Systems logo is genius in terms of like what they mean and how the video is presented. So basically the concept for this thumbnail is, this is my wish list for Dragon Ball as a game, and so my wish list might not be what ArcSys wants the game to be. So I put a little devil face with a smile on it to make it seem like, oh, I'm gonna like mess this game up, like this game is gonna be so nutty. And then ArcSys is over there with like a sweat emoji, is like, dude, like you need to chill out type shit. So that's why I made number 5, because it kind of tells its own story if you look into it. You know, look at the video, what the content of the video is, and you look at the thumbnail and you're like, ah, like I can see what he's doing there. But I mean, in terms of visuals, it's pretty on the low end. You know, it's literally just a PNG of every single character in the game, and then it just has my logo and the ArcSys logo. So it visually is not that you know, it doesn't stand out that much, but I think the story you can get from it is top 5 material, which is why it's number 5 and not higher. It's if it had a little bit more flair, it'd probably be up like number 3 or something like that. But you know, it does have some drawbacks, but I think it's still a really good thumbnail for what the video is and the content. So that's gonna be it for number 5. So we're gonna go on to number 4. Okay, so number 4. So number 4 on this list comes from the video Blocking What's That? And the thumbnail and the visual, you know, description of it is Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta countering Cell when, you know, he tries to hit him. So this thumbnail comes about in the video. Pretty and Eldo are fighting each other, and basically we keep making jokes on how, like, in order to like be good at fighters, you just, whenever you're put in a defensive situation, you don't block, you just counter and try to get out as fast as possible. And that's basically what just Eldo does throughout the entire video. Like, this man literally just will not block for his life. And if you watch the video, 9 times out of 10 he'll just start DPing or level 3 or something. He'll do something. And in this video, or in this instance in the thumbnail, Pretty didn't really catch on to that, and he got countered. So honestly, I think Gogeta probably has one of the best looking counters in the game. Like just that knee kick and just seeing the opponent just fly back is just so satisfying to look at. And I thought it would just be a great thumbnail to look at. And you know, the title with it too is still works. You know, with the thumbnail, it's just blocking. What's that? I got a counter, fool. Like you think I'm just gonna sit here and block, bro? Come on now. You know me better than that. I'm Gogeta. So I love the energy that comes from the thumbnail. You know, the counter is still really cool to look at. You know, I just think the thumbnail really works. You know, what the energy is coming out of. You know what, you know, the video is about. You know, it's an overall great package. You know, it's a great number 4. So, you know, there's not really much to talk about. You kind of just get what you get from this thumbnail. You know, you just look at it and you're like, ah, I see what this video is about. So, yeah, so that's number 4. So, number 3 is coming right at you. Number three. Oh boy, this one. Okay, so this thumbnail was originally gonna be my number 1 pick, just for how meta it is. So this thumbnail comes from the video Online Strategy Always Wins. So this video is me versus Boss, and you know, if you watch the channel, you know how Boss fights, and you know how I try to counter whatever dumb crap he does, and usually it doesn't really work out, but it still didn't work out, as you can see from the video. So this thumbnail is to portray many situations that I have in Dragon Ball where I block a vanish, Boss does the auto combo, and I get counter hit for some reason. I don't know why, but you know, Gogeta having a -5 auto combo, technically he's safe on block, but he's not plus, which means he can't press. But for some reason, I always get counter hit. And the thing that makes this thumbnail, other than the fact that the sequence of events really stands the test of time, like there's just it just looks like Dragon Ball, you know? If you ever see this game and you see these 3 images, you're like, yeah, this is Dragon Ball FighterZ Online, right? But the thing that sets this as the number 3 is if you look in the right side of the thumbnail, when Gogeta is doing his jab, you see a little word right there, and it says counter. So if you guys don't play Dragon Ball, every time you get counter hit, the announcer will say counter, and counter will show up on your side of the screen showing that you got counter hit. Basically, your opponent hits you before your attack came out. So if you guys know anything about frame data, is when you're negative, your buttons don't come out as fast as your opponent's, because on a technical level, you're negative and they're positive, so positive should win. But with online with Dragon Ball, that's not really the case, especially when it comes to, you know, -5 or below, right? When things get -5 or below, those things just turn into plus frames, because you really can't reliably punish things online, because it skips, you know, frame delay. You know, I don't even want to get into what I really think about the online, but you know, just seeing auto combo into jab and then I get counter hit, it's so monkey brain that I had to make it a thumbnail. I just had to. It's just so funny to look at, because if you know this game, you know that should not work, but online makes it work somehow. So that's basically the backstory of this thumbnail. It's definitely top 3 material. When I made this thumbnail, I was like, yeah, this is my favorite thumbnail of all time, like dead ass. And it honestly almost made number 1, to be honest. But the other 2 I like a little bit more than this one. So with that being said, we'll get into the other 2. So we're going to be doing number 2 right now. Alright guys, number 2, so we're almost there. So, number 2 comes from the video Z Broly be snatching necks. So, other than the fact that that title is godly, the thumbnail itself is also godly. So, just basically a description of it is, there are 3 panels. There's 2 on the left and right with Z Broly doing his command grab on Blue Vegeta and Super Saiyan Vegeta, and the middle panel is Broly smiling. So I came up with this idea basically while I was playing the match with Tak, and basically he was playing Broly, and literally every time he was on screen I was like, I'm gonna get command grabbed, and as soon as I said that, I always got command grabbed. So I was like, well, what if I made a thumbnail where it's just Broly constantly grabbing me and then he's just like staring at me menacingly, and that's where I got the idea, literally in the middle of the match. And it literally makes the number 2 spot just basically off the savagery and the middle panel of Broly smiling. Like, if it was just, you know, Broly just grabbing Vegeta, you know, by his neck, it probably wouldn't have made the list. But the fact that the middle panel is Broly just smiling with the biggest grin I've ever seen Broly smile, is just like, it literally makes this thumbnail perfect in every single way. You know, the 3 panels of the images, the middle one with Broly smiling, the title is godlike. It's just this thumbnail literally just says it all about the video. Like, you literally can't be more blatant than that. It's just Z Broly just be snatching next. He just like, come here, snatch, you know, type of thing. So that's why it's number 2. It's really a number 1 contender, but the number 1 I just love way too much to put it anywhere else on this list. But this one is definitely one of the more savage thumbnails I've ever made, and it's pretty hilarious too. So with that being said, let's get into the number 1 pick. Let's go. Number 1. Alright guys, we're at the number 1 pick. So number 1, Cerebella is my best. Now here's the thing, if you know anything about this channel, you know that I love Skullgirls. I love it. It's one of my most favorite games of all time. And this video in particular shows off just how far I've grown from when I first played it. This video right here is basically the beginning of my growth as a Skullgirls player. Like, this video clearly shows that I was willing to, you know, learn the game, take these characters seriously, learn all their strats, and my Cerebella is a lot better than in this video right now. But this one was really like where I was like, this character is just way too much fun and I have to main her, like, no matter what. And that the thumbnail really presents that, as in, you know, Cerebella being my favorite character in the game, or at least at that point. Wink wink, nudge nudge. So basically the description is the middle panel is Cerebella doing her intro, and then all the other panels is Cerebella essentially flexing on the opponent. You got her anti-air command grab, you got her air throw, you got her regular command grab, and you got her cross-up light kick, or jumping light kick. So basically it shows Cerebella basically all of her best moves other than her charges, and it really just shows off, you know, how cool Cerebella looks. Like, Cerebella is one of the coolest characters that, you know, I've ever seen in a fighting game. Like, she just has so much personality. Her fighting style is fun. You know, she's not too hard, but she's not too easy. She has, you know, she's just an amazing character overall. So having a thumbnail specifically made for her and all of, you know, her best moves, it's just, it just makes me break into a just big grin whenever I see this thumbnail. And I've watched this video several times just for the thumbnail alone. Like, this thumbnail really just shows my love for Skullgirls in general, but really for Cerebella. Like, she was the character that really drew me into this game. So like I said, having a thumbnail just purely based on her, showing her basically at her best, you know, in picture form, it's just, it just always makes me happy to look at. So with that being said, guys, that was my top 5 with honorable mentions thumbnails list. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm loving making this series. The first one with top 5 titles, I think, went really well. So I really hope this video does well as well. Well, I said well way too many times, but I'm rambling on. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Please be sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe for more videos in the future. And also, just stick around to the channel because there's more top 5s coming down the line. So, yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Sayonara.